All right, so since we are reading our first book of the year, therefore we are doing our first reading guide of the year. So this reading guide, I know we talked about this last week a little bit, but this reading guide correlates with the reading sections of the book. So for example, if you look up here, this first page, so the first page of the reading guide covers pages 1 through 50 in The Giver. So basically what you read for either Monday or Tuesday of this week, depending on which hour you are in, all that information will be put onto this first page. And then the second section of the book will be covered on the second reading guide page and so forth. So there are 4 pages of this reading guide and there are 4 reading sections for reading due dates. So make sure you are being careful in putting information in the correct spots. But let's go through this reading guide. So there are multiple sections, and these sections will help you when you do your final project and as we have discussions about the book. There are directions written on here, but I wanted to make this video too just to fully explain, especially if you are out of school or if you need a refresher at any point in this unit. So the first section will kind of cover the setting of the book. So you are going to be describing moments where we learn about the following categories. Use specific details and exact moments from the book. So just like in the sniper essay, you have to find specific data. I should be able to flip through the book and find the exact moment you are talking about. You do not need to put page numbers here, but you need specific details. So rules is the first category. So tell me about a time in pages 1 through 50 where we learn about a rule, or a character breaks a rule, or something happens that revolves around rules. So for example, maybe we could write about Asher. Ooh, if I can spell. Asher is late to school and he has to say sorry to the class. So if you remember in this section, they were thinking back on Asher being late and he had to apologize to the class. So he broke a rule and that's what he had to do. So maybe the rule would be like be on time. Right? So we have specific details, we have a rule, and a character that kind of dealt with that rule in some way. Ceremonies, tell me about a ceremony we learn about, or a ceremony that they write about. Maybe you could talk about Roberto, if you remember who that was. Look back in the book, but there was a character and there was a ceremony that had something to do with him. Relationships and family, give me some specific details. Maybe talk about one of Jonas's friends, or you could talk about maybe his mom, what's his mom's job, and so forth. So kind of fill that in. For lifestyle, jobs, and routines, what's something that falls under that category? What do community members have to do? So maybe an example in this section where you could be, you could write about Lily talks about her feelings at dinner about the other community. So if you remember in this section, every night at dinner they have to share their feelings, right? So Lily specifically talks about how this other community came to visit her and she was kind of upset with the kids and what they were doing. So notice I did not just write something like at dinner they have to share feelings. I talked about a specific example of a character who engages with that rule or with that lifestyle choice and so forth. Conflicts then is easy. So Jonas's conflicts. Describe 2 conflicts Jonas has with the community in this section and explain resolutions. As the book goes on, Jonas is going to find more and more conflicts. So what is some sort of conflict he has with the community or a rule or something that happens, and tell me if there's a resolution. And if there's not, that's okay too, right? Just explain there's not a resolution to this conflict because, and explain why. For a theme set, so I want you to think about sameness versus diversity. This community is obsessed with everyone being the same. Everything they do, every rule, every ceremony, every lifestyle choice is to make sure that everyone is the same and no one is different. There are a few exceptions to this, and they'll kind of pop up and be talked about as the book goes on. So describe a moment where the community is all the same, or a moment when someone does something that is considered different. So for example, maybe in this section, you could write about something they all have that's the same. Talk about that December ceremony that's coming up and Jonas is scared because everyone's going to get their job, right? That's something that all of them are going to get together. Or we find out Jonas has a physical difference. That'd be something cool to put here. So Jonas has, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but look back in the section, there's something different physically about him, but the other characters don't talk about it, but it exists, right? Small differences do exist, but they don't really talk about them. So something that's either the same or different with the people in the community. And then the last part is just personal reflection. What was your favorite moment from this section of the book, or what did you connect with? Just write at least one sentence, kind of your personal reflection summary to this section. All right, that is how you complete this reading guide. If you have any questions, please let me know. But the biggest tip I can give you is be as specific as you can and make sure you are referencing exact moments from the book.